Around 6-ish months ago, after the last episode of the Final Shape year had concluded, I left Destiny. I had no animosity towards the game, it just seemed like a good time to call it quits. Well, after Renegades launched about a month ago, it piqued my interest enough to buy it and Edge of Fate and see if this new era of Destiny is worth investing in. Well, my name's Doc, and for my first real video on this channel, I'm going to give you my thoughts on whether or not you should also consider returning to Destiny 2 in 2026. Let's just jump right into this. Now, this is going to be a short, low editing, talking at you style of video. As I'm talking, if you'd like to know more about a system that I'm talking about, please feel free to drop a comment and I'd be happy to help. I just want this to be more of a simple opinion video rather than a guide. So if you want the short version, the answer is maybe. It depends. The long answer is that it depends on why you left to begin with, whether or not you should return. Just to save time, we'll assume that you've played up through the Final Shape because that expansion had a very large player count. So if you're a former Destiny player, you're probably at least familiar with the end of the Light and Darkness saga. Now, if you're a story-driven person, I don't know if this new saga, the Fate saga, is going to live up to the Light and Darkness from a storytelling perspective. The main reason I say that is just because we're still less than a year into this new saga. If it's going to run for another 5 or 10 years, then I think that we don't necessarily have enough of a cohesive story yet to really justify whether or not it's worth investing to. Looking into the individual expansions, Edge of Fate was just fine. Kepler was fine as a location, the Archon was an okay villain, and I just feel like I was left with more questions than answers. Maybe that's good for setting up a new saga, but time will tell. Renegades, on the other hand, I really liked. Now, I'm 110% biased, because I'm a massive Star Wars fan, and I've always liked the Praxic Order lore. Was there a lot of story beats and fan service borrowed from Star Wars to make the expansion good? Absolutely. Do I care? Absolutely not. I thought Dredgen Bale was a pretty cool villain despite him just being Kylo Ren, and many of the other story beats that just basically ripped straight from Star Wars, I still liked because they were ripped straight from Star Wars. Now, if you just care about the actual content of the expansions, then I might consider skipping Edge of Fate. You're going to notice a trend through this video. I haven't gotten a chance to play the Desert Perpetual raid yet, but outside of that, there really isn't much substance to it. Like with the story, though, I thought Renegade's content was pretty good. I wouldn't put it up there with Witch Queen or Forsaken or Final Shape or anything like that, but I also certainly wouldn't put it down there with Curse of Osiris or Lightfall either. Lawless Frontiers is a fun game mode, the syndicates and their abilities are pretty cool, and the loot is great. Plus, you've got the Fire and Ice exotic mission and the Equilibrium dungeon, which I thought both of those were fantastic. If you left because of some fundamental game system, things like the Destiny Content Vault or the walking back of crafting or things of that nature, those things are still present. The game is still the game. But the Fate Saga has changed a lot of other systems. It feels kind of like a soft Destiny 3. The tier system that involves getting better rewards for better scores and activities for both weapons and armor has made the loot chase feel fresh again. Even if you don't necessarily enjoy the loot chase and maybe you preferred crafting, a lot of those weapons are still viable in the Fate sandbox, especially if you're using them for support or utility like No Hesitation. They may not be top-tier DPS picks anymore, but they're still good, and they're still viable, and they'll still get you through the vast majority of content in the game. And when it comes to Armor 3.0, I'll admit I was skeptical at first, but I actually really like it. I'd like more ways of focusing armor to maybe help with some of the RNG, but outside of that, I think it's a really good system overall. The stat reworks were really cool. I thought that they did a pretty good job with that and making some of the underused stats feel a little more useful. There's still some issues here and there, but, we'll see how it goes. The portal has become the new primary way to interact with the latest content to grind levels and get gear. From what I remember reading, it seemed like this was almost universally disliked when it first launched with Edge of Fate. Bungie has made substantial improvements to it for Renegades, but I think that there is still quite a ways to go with making the portal a healthier addition to the game. The one nice thing about the portal, though, is that it does seem like Bungie has had an easier time rotating content out from the DCV when they can utilize the portal. There's plenty of old missions and activities to be found in the portal, and while I am still firmly a Destiny content vault hater, I'll take this over nothing. If you played Destiny for Gambit or the Crucible, unfortunately there's a good chance that not much, if anything, has changed since the last time you logged on. For my Crucible enjoyers, you may at least enjoy getting to try out some of the new builds and gear after a lot of these changes, but fundamentally, Crucible is still Crucible. Gambit didn't even make it into the portal. You actually have to manually go and find it in the old Destinations tab, so I think it's safe to say Gambit has been abandoned, at least as of the time of writing the script. So, you may be asking yourself, well, this all sounds like it's just more Destiny, and to quote many a content creator, yes, this is just more Destiny. So now you may be asking yourself, well, what actually brought you back then? Well, the fact of the matter is that moment-to-moment gameplay is still in a league of its own. The game just feels good to play, and there's nothing else like it. Build crafting is in arguably the best state that it's ever been in, and with both weapons and armor giving you an insane amount of options for how you want to play, it just feels good. Classes, subclasses, and abilities all feel unique and interesting to mess around with. I play a healer support role in pretty much every fire team I'm in, and despite some nerfs to popular methods of healing and support, it still feels really, really great to be a support player. Of course, the game feeling good isn't the only thing that brought me back. I still love the lore and existing within the universe. There's a strange, small sense of what I would describe as pride in being a Titan, being a hunter, or being a warlock. And despite how much content has been removed from the game, I'd say that the vast majority of the content still present in the game is very fun. I think the biggest reason that I came back is also just that, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I didn't really have any negative feelings towards the game. I just needed a break. And after spending some time away from it and coming back, I felt more refreshed and had an amazing time hopping back in and playing the game. I think burnout can play a huge role in a lot of negative feelings about the game, and trust me, I know there's no game that does FOMO quite like Destiny. Did I miss out on some things? I'm sure, but you know what? I just needed a break. And it's possible that maybe a break is what you needed too. So thank you for sticking with me through the long version as I tell you that yes, it does depend on why you left, but I do think that for whatever reason you left, you've been on a break from the game for a little while now. It may be worth hopping back in just to see if you're still feeling burnt out, or maybe if that spark has returned. And that was everything that I had to talk about. Again, I know that this video wasn't super structured, but I just wanted to yap for a little bit. I probably missed some things, but I just wanted to have fun for my first video. My future videos will be a bit more structured and have more editing to them. Speaking of those future videos, if you'd like to learn more about me and what kinds of content to expect, then feel free to head on over to my channel page and check out my intro video, and maybe consider subscribing while you're over there. Don't forget to check out the link in the description to follow me on stuff and join my Discord server. I think all I've got left to say is that I've been Doc. Take care of yourselves, be good to others. I wish you all a happy 2026, and I will catch y'all in the next one.